Welcome back, boxing fans.
Blood is good.
Tire face, a mask of blood.
Blood is emotion.
Too much blood coming out of the eye.
Blood is a story, a drama.
Deep gash, blood pouring right into his eye.
Blood is what we want to see in terms of passion.
Blood streaming now from the cut in the eye, the nose, his mouth, his cheeks swollen, and he's still throwing.
What we want is a bloody good fight tonight.
We have Heather, the Heat Hardy. Is this you?
This is me. I think I need to talk to you every night because you make me smile and blush over here.
Never been a lame-o, never been a lame-o. Yeah, I love you, trip. I'm okay.
You're serious? You're serious?
And that's the good thing about UK. That's why I can't hate on them guys, man. They love fucking boxing.
No fighters in England. They all bums.
Did you hear what this idiot just said?
Yo, son, you're gonna get your ass beat by Molina, son.
Are you fucking kidding me? He's overrated.
You can push it for me right now.
For the interview? Yes. Let your filthy hands go. Get out of here, Virgil. Go home. We're next.
You want the table shot at the field. You not even honest. You want the table shot at the field.
BoxingVoice.com.
This is why we use the word sensation.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Boxing Voice. I am your host, Nes GTO, and today, as you see, we're going to be giving a full review of Mayweather, Maidana, All Access, Episode 2. Epilogue. And we're also, because I was just going to do that because this weekend was so bad, right? But, man, I watched that Orlando Salido fight, and wow, that thing was that was a war, brother. That was a war. You guys definitely need to go and check that out when you get some time, because again, that was a war, a very, very good fight, back and forth action, barely any holding. Like when they were holding, it was okay, all right, because these men were punching each other. So it was like, all right, you need a little break. Take a break. I wanna take some callers right away because it looks like we got an update on Blog Talk. This thing looks phenomenal from the inside. I feel like I'm finally in something that merits 2014. Hopefully they have improved their audio. There were rumors of better audio for like 3 years now, but whatever, you know. Hopefully this works out and everybody can enjoy a better show. And we definitely have to talk about Salido. And man, I was practicing his last name. I think it's Katichum. I don't know, something like that. But dude, this guy's got a killer left hand, brother. We need to definitely touch on that. Neil White, like we said on Thursday's show, he won that Floyd Mayweather signed glove. So Neil White, you know, be on the lookout for that. Also, very short iTunes review we're gonna get to, and of course our sponsors, man. We definitely need you guys. I seen someone purchase a hoodie, so shout out to the guy that bought the hoodie or the girl. I definitely don't get the information, or else I would give you a personal shout out. But yeah. You know, thank you for visiting the store and getting that. So, 646-478-3068. Let's talk some boxing. Like I said, I want to take some calls before I go into my Mayweather route. So, let me see here. We're going to go with 623. You're live. Who's this?
What up, Ness? It's Alden from Arizona. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, brother, and you're sounding good. I'm hoping that it's both your connection and this new Blog Talk here.
Probably both, but that's good if you got new stuff. But I can't really speak on the Salido fight because I didn't see it. So I'm just gonna chime in a little bit on the epilogue yesterday. It was you know, I saw the fight. I watched it twice in this past couple of days. I had it 8-4. I think there was a lot of rounds that Maidana snuck in that people really didn't pay attention because Maidana fights dirty. So even if he lands punches, they're not as clean as a Floyd missed. So I saw it kind of 8-4. But ultimately, what did you think about it, Ness? I mean, it was kind of, I mean, especially in the beginning when you saw Mayweather and the whole crowd watching it. I don't think that was a positive. That didn't look like a positive atmosphere coming from Floyd. I think he was really critiquing himself. What do you think about that scene?
Well, I'm glad that you are interested in that scene, because that's actually the scene that I wanted to lead off with. So before I answer that, just again, to get everyone in the mood, I've gotten little sound bites here and there so that you can not only be in the mood, but also try and put yourself in the moment in that episode. Because again, you know, the fight was very one-sided at points. So again, we love boxing so much, so now we're just going to talk about what he's given us in terms of All Access. And also, I want you guys to ask yourself the question, is this last episode executively produced by Mayweather? Is this what he wanted us to see? Because, of course, if you're a hardcore like me, you followed the news that he was going to let some people go and that he didn't like a lot of things that were going on. And he spoke of also Showtime and the editing that they do and what they want you, the viewer, to see. And they tell him they're going to put something and then they put something else. So is this episode him grabbing the bull back by the horns and taking control of his All Access? Because there were specific things in here that I want you to think about. See, you know, when we do these review shows on these All Access, it's not, again, I'm a conspiracy theorist, you know, cue in the Files theme song now, because, you know, I have to see if there's anything deeper. And in this, we only seen Leonard Letterby one time, and that was at the post-fight press conference. It was a very short clip of him introducing Floyd. Then, boom, poof, be gone. He is never on there again. Rafael Diaz, I believe, you know, you guys as listeners, correct me if I'm not wrong, or correct me if I am. Rafael Diaz, I believe we only seen him one time when he had the towel over Floyd's head.
You mean Rafael Garcia?
Yeah, Garcia, when he had the towel over his head and he was like, yeah, you're ready, you're ready. Did we see him after that? I don't know.
No, we did. You know, you brought up a good point. When I looked at the house portion, Ellerby wasn't there. Garcia wasn't there. I mean, no, Roger's not going there, but Roger wasn't there. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. He had some control over the executive producing. They didn't show the Pacquiao question. Nope. I don't think they showed. Ness, I had a friend who watched the fight live from Argentina's feed, and he said that there was a lot of times in the corner showing that Box Nation showed that Showtime didn't show on the corner. So there's a lot of interesting things with the way that was filmed with the fight and the epilogue.
Definitely a lot, and I believe that you know, that we have to read in between the lines. We have to see if there's more to this. But all right, so let's put everybody in the mood. I'm gonna place you on mute, and let's see if we can take ourselves back to this moment.
24 hours after the fight, family, friends, and acolytes gathered to celebrate his 47th consecutive win.
So in that moment, it was all his friends there, basically, friends and family watching a fight, which is something that they normally do for every fight. So I don't think that this had any, like, underlining agenda besides the fact that I was given a very close shot of that lip and nose. And it's sad that we're at the point where the fact that he was swolled up entertained me more than anything else, because he doesn't get hit. This guy's so good that, you know, we're excited when Maidana landed that right hand, because we've never seen this dude vulnerable, and when we do, it's very few and beyond, you know. So I don't know, man. I definitely like this this epilogue. It had a lot of interesting things. I'm gonna go ahead and get to another caller here and see if we can you know, keep analyzing this one.
Introducing the hard-hitting ringside Robbie.
Hello, guys. Wow, my intro was kind of broken up there, but the audio is much better on Blog Talk. I'm glad they finally updated. They've been talking about that for years. As far as the fight goes, I got a chance to watch it again, and it was as one-sided the second time around as it was for me the first time around. So, but I didn't score it the first time. I scored it the second time, and I scored it 10 rounds to 2. You know, I just didn't think it was close at all. But you know, we got October to look forward to, and I didn't get to see the Salido fight. I don't think it was on TV anywhere that I could get. I looked for boxing and couldn't find any this weekend, so I'm glad somebody got to see a good fight.
Yeah, no, that Salido fight, brother, that thing was man, it was very entertaining. Actually, I'm gonna bring out my card because it was that entertaining. It was like 10-8 rounds. Every round was like a 10-8 round, man. It was a super entertaining fight, and I definitely encourage everybody to go see it. Shout out to Nelta too, because he's the one that really was pushing that down on the last episode, and wow, was it entertaining. Salido looked so good. I mean, the combinations that this guy was throwing, it was absurd. I mean, you know, like normal Salido, there was a low blow, which was counted as a knockdown, so your scorecard has to indicate that. So in the first round, I scored it 7 for Alito, 8 for, I can't even pronounce this guy's name. Let me see here. Kokitajim. Yeah, so Kokitajim or something like that. But whatever. The point is that first round was that serious. Like, he dropped Salido, Salido dropped him. And again, Salido's was a low blow after watching a replay. But again, you know, if they count it as a knockdown, your scorecard has to indicate that. So then it was just much more the same. In the next round, this guy from Thailand, he dropped Salido again. He had such a powerful left hand. I mean, in the middle of taking damage, he just, boom, fired off a left hook, dropped Salido. Man, this fight was all action, and it continued again because in the third round, Salido turned it around and he hammered home a 10-9 round. In my opinion, just on sheer like activity and the body work. He just did so much body work throughout this fight. And again, his defense was kind of good until he got dropped because, you know, looking at my scorecard as I'm talking to you, like, he really picked up after the 6th round. I couldn't find a round to give this guy from Thailand, but again in the third, Salido, you know, I edged it to him. Also in the 4th, he scored a knockdown again. So then in the 5th, the Thailand dude scored another knockdown, and then in the 6th, fucking Salido scored another knockdown. It was just like, it was crazy. That fight is, you have to go and see that. You have to go and see
it sounds like you're describing the possible fight of the year that not very many people got a chance to see.
Well, there's a beautiful, I mean, well, again, I understand you, but for those other, Robbie, let me get to some other callers, but there's a beautiful stream of it on YouTube, and it very easily found. All you got to do is just search the entire names versus each other, and it's amazing. Man, I wonder what channel. I think it's Box Azteca because it looked phenomenal. But anyway, that fight was awesome. But I know somebody that wants to.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nelson.
No, motherfucker, I didn't say my name was different. What the fuck?
Oh, you said your name was Nelson.
No, I didn't. You need to clean your motherfucking ears out, nigga. See, that's why people need to clean their ears, their eyes, their hell, clean everything off, man. Clean their TVs off and pay attention to these fights,
but
man.
Nelta, to be fair, this is 130 pounds. Like, we always watch 130 pounds. This is just a difficult fight for regular hardcore fans to see that can't get to internet. But don't make it seem. Don't try to put Salido in the category of them other little very, very small 112, 105 ass niggas.
Well, if you would have peeped out the undercard, the co-feature match, that shit was a war too. Javier Mendoza versus Ramon Garcia. That shit was a straight up war too. That shit was nice. You know,
I'll tell you this. The only reason that I didn't see it is because the fight didn't have it. Like the link that I watched, it was just that fight. But I wanna continue to talk about that with you. Just another aspect. What did you think of Mikey Garcia as a commentator? Because I don't think he did a bad job, but he definitely didn't have much of a personality.
Yeah, I mean, he was doing kind of the Andre Ward thing, I think, but partially because of the fact that he's not really used to doing that. So he was just being very, I don't know if I want to say tactful, but I mean, he was very conservative with what he was saying and how much he was talking. He wasn't really trying to overstate anything with the guy who was the co-host. I wasn't sure what that dude's name was, because I know he's done the other cards for being, but I'm not sure what that guy's name is.
Yeah, well, there was a point where I felt that he got very loose, and he was good. Like they was cracking jokes. I think that he was good, but I don't know. The other guy I didn't.
Well, I mean,
really like.
if you listen to him, especially during the first fight, the one I was talking about, the Mendoza Garcia, he actually did a really good job there of analyzing a lot of stuff, because they were both did a lot of adjusting in that fight, and that was a very tit for tat, back and forth type war. It just wound up getting overshadowed by the Toledo fight after the fact. But I mean, he did a good job on that fight. I think a better job because of the fact that it wasn't a peer of his. When it came to Toledo, it was a bit more of a peer of his. So I think it's a little bit harder to be objective in that case.
I know this is gonna sound horrible, right? But man, I hate Spanish commentary. And I understand it, but it doesn't even, like, I would rather take biased commentary in English than listen to Spanish commentary. And I know that sounds crazy because there's probably a bunch of Spanish people. I don't know, it just doesn't sound the same. I guess because English is what comes first to me. So I don't know, but dude, I'd rather not. I'd rather not. Like European commentary, I turn it off. I mute it, and I hate to mute a fight. I hate muting fights, but I can't take some of them dudes over there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know, man. I listen. I pretty much judge it on a case by case basis. It all depends. It's all very dependent. But I mean that you were dead right about Toledo and Coquille Jim though. That was a straight up war. It reminded me of a fight that Toledo actually had a few years ago. He had a fight against a guy. If people want to check it out, against a guy named Wang Haya. He was from the Philippines, and that guy dropped him I think like twice or three times also before Toledo knocked him out. So I mean, it seems like Toledo, when he's fighting some of these guys that are a bit lesser known and they're not necessarily absolute elite, he tends to kind of, I guess, maybe take it a little too easy, and he just finds it getting caught. As well as the fact that I think he's a little bit blind to left crosses and left hooks, or like left hooks on the inside, because he was getting caught upside his right temple pretty much all night from Coquille. And then, but I mean, his body and head attack is pretty much what tired Coquille out. It led the last couple of rounds to Coquille not really having much of a volume, and Toledo being able to finish him out. That was a beautiful finish too. That combination that he took him out with, that was a right cross, left hook, or no, right cross, left uppercut, then another right cross behind it. Nasty.
Dude, that fight was amazing. Like you said, that knockout punch, it was a combination. Like he landed uppercuts, right hands, left. Man, that fight was so good. It was good. That's a good fight. That was,
man. I think that might be the front runner for fight of the year, man. I think that might be up there. That might wind up taking it. Just the ups and the downs, the back and forth between the two of them. Taking control and then the other guy taking control.
I don't think it's anything like that Rios Alvarado fight. Like that's not what it is, but the level of punishment and punches were there, but not the brutality of it. Like these guys were hitting each other with skill, and it was good.
Well, I mean, it was the drama too. It's the drama. It's like the thing is Toledo's winning around, and boom, he gets dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Or Coquille winning around, and boom, he gets dropped. A lot of the times when these guys were dropping each other, it was in a round that they were actually winning before that.
Yeah, man, that thing was definitely action packed and merits a watch. I mean, it should get a bunch of views on YouTube because It was an action-packed fight. But let's switch it over to I guess back to this Mayweather epilogue. I'm gonna get into. I want to talk about this next scene, and you know, hopefully Beeb comes back on, and Nelta, you give me your thoughts. I actually emailed you this. Here we go.
In the days leading up to the bout, Mayweather made himself explicit. He didn't take the fight for Marcos Maidana, but rather to defeat what Maidana represented. The idea that the champ would become vulnerable late in his career.
I have a lot to prove, not just to the fans, but to myself. Let's go, baby. Maidana's one of the best fighters out there right now. I'm extremely hungry for this fight.
The reason I wanted to bring this up is because, you know, as much as we think Mayweather's great and we knew what was going to happen, I feel like there was a little bit of doubt there. And it goes back to that first scene when he was watching a fight and you see him watching himself get punched, and he says, I was hurt there. And he mentioned it more than one time, like, I was hurt there. So I like that he went back and watched it. I know that the last caller, you know, he asked me, what did I think about that? And here's what I think. I think that it's a good thing that he goes back and watches it, because I think he's going back to tweak things. You know, the way you could see the way that he was looking at the fight. He's not just looking to see how great he was. It felt like he was looking to see what did he do wrong. And when he mentioned and allowed us to believe, because he, for all we know, he could be lying, but why would he lie, right? But you know, by him saying I was hurt, I believe him, and I believe that he's going to correct that.
If anything, yeah, I was gonna say, if anything, he would lie the other way. He would say like, nah, he didn't hurt me, you know, he didn't faze me, none of, you know, something like that.
Exactly.
Especially regarding his personality, that's the type of pattern that he tends to fall in general in the past. But I can kind of see that. I mean, going into the fight, like shit, even going to the first fight, just the fact that he made such a mess of the whole glove thing, like right before the fight even happened. I think there was a little bit of doubt even back then, but then it kind of got confirmed in the actual fight once it went down. And the reason that I'm doing this show is because I want to point out those little moments throughout this fight. You know, there's even a point later in this fight that Nate, what is his name? Nate Jones. Oh, the big guy? Yeah.
Yeah, the big guy that he's usually taking all the punches in the ring. He's been a trainer before, and he's always, you know, he got some skills training when it comes to Floyd, okay? Because we can't say what else he did, you know, because he's always.
Well, he was a heavyweight boxer in I think the '96 Olympics.
Exactly, not a trainer, right? He started training when he got with Floyd.
Yeah, no. Yeah, he started.
So anyway, but the point is,
even
he is gonna be in the crowd like, oh, get off the ropes, get off the ropes. We don't gotta be there, you know. Everyone had a little bit of urgency in this fight, and I like that. I like that because even though we all picked him and he was the favorite, he's still not at a point in his career where he's gonna lose because he didn't take the fighter seriously. Because all that urgency shows that he took Maidana seriously, and I respect that in him. And that goes back to the same thing, his work ethic. I mean, do we just forgive this man for everything that he does because he's so good in boxing? Can we as boxing fans separate the two? Separate the Mayweather in the ring from the Mayweather in life. You know, it's a tough one to ask you guys, but you know, I would love to hear your thoughts. But finally, we got the beeps to hear.
You want the title shot at the beep? He's not even right. You want the title shot at the beep?
You know, you said something very interesting. Can we separate the boxer from the person? And quite honestly, I think subconsciously, I think we can, but subconsciously we can't. Or a lot of people subconsciously can't, because think about it. When you look at Mayweather as a human being, you know, we want our athletes to be role models, regardless of what we say, whether they are or they're not. We want to look up to our athletes. We want our athletes to, you know, emulate model citizens, not be perfect, but at least have a good image. You know, the type of people that we would want our kids to be like. And if I ask someone, would you want your son to act like Mayweather? Would you want your daughter to date someone like Mayweather? Would you bring your children over Mayweather's house to sleep over or something like that? I would have to say 90% of the people out there would say no. But as a boxer, the greatest attribute he has is what you just alluded to, always being in shape. People want to compare him to the greats. I challenge one question out there to all you people. You want to compare him to Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, and all that. I ask you guys one question. Take a 37-year-old Floyd Mayweather versus a 37-year-old Ray Leonard, or a 37-year-old Thomas Hearns, or a 37-year-old Roberto Duran, and ask yourselves who wins that fight. Because at the age of 37, those guys were pretty much on the way out. Mayweather is still the best fighter on the planet right now. So I would pick Mayweather at 37 years old against those guys at 37 years old.
All right, let me get to 2 callers, and then we're going to get into my next scene, which is going to tie into Mayweather at 37 still being focused. Those specific scenes that we've already went over, those certain things that he allowed us to see and things that he said and allowed us to hear, versus, like Beeb said, all the other greats, right? And, of course, his opponents. So, 917, you're live. Who's this?
Hey, what's going on? It's Antonio from Albany.
Antonio, what's up, brother?
What's going on? Are you guys just talking about the All Access?
We're talking All Access. We definitely talked about the Salido fight with my man from Thailand. We could talk about whatever you want. What's up?
Yeah, man, I saw that fight, man. And just one thing with Ringside Rob, man. I know he doesn't have any internet, man, but if he did have internet, man, the link to that fight is all over Twitter, all over Instagram. It's all over, man. Great fight, man. I think that's the fight of the year so far, man. I know the year's coming to an end, man, but so far, man, that's the fight of the year. But a few things I want to talk about real quick. I know you got a bunch of phone calls, but man, I just want to talk about this Mayweather. Just basically, signing or bringing in Alex Ariza to the team, man. He signed him to a 2-year contract, and I feel like with this move, man, I feel like for some reason, man, I just feel inside that the Pacquiao Mayweather fight is going to happen sometime next year.
I have to interrupt you. I apologize, sir. I have to interrupt you because I have to clarify one thing that I read further into it. I read an article on Fight Hype where Ben Thompson was actually interviewing Ariza on that 2-year contract, and actually the 2-year contract is basically a no compete clause contract. So what it states is that if Ariza does decide to work with Mayweather, that he cannot work with any other clients for 2 years except for Mayweather. So that's what that 2-year deal is. It's not concrete that he is going to work with Mayweather, but if he does decide to work with Mayweather, those are going to be the terms and conditions. So it's a no-compete clause. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's all right. But if anything, man, that's a great deal for Ariza, man. I mean, if anything, I would start working with my other clients and go straight to Floyd, man. I mean, that's where all the money's at. I mean, why not? And again, man, I just feel like with this move, if it does happen, if it does take place 100%, I feel like the Pacquiao Mayweather fight, it is going to happen next year.
Oh, I believe it will too.
Talks about,
I believe it's going to happen.
Fighting in May. I mean, Mayweather's not going to play stupid and let that slide and not let that be his record next year. I feel like Pacquiao Mayweather is going to happen next year, man. And I just feel like we're going to have a very interesting 2014, man. I mean 2015. I know we had a rough 2014, man, but I think 2015 is going to be a big hit, man. I mean, I don't know what else to say. And then we might be getting Bradley against Diego Chavez in December. I mean, hopefully, man, we'll end with a good year, man. And other than that, man, I think that's about it, man. I feel like 2015 is going to be the year, man. It's going to be the year. Well, but that's my rant, man. That's all, guys.
All right, brother. Go ahead, Antonio.
No, just mute me. Just mute me.
Okay. Well, I'm optimistic too, so I'm on that train with you, brother. I hope that 2015 is the year as well. I want to take the fact that he brought up contracts with Ariza and things like that, to talk a little bit about the Nevada State Athletic Commission ordering Mayweather on Thursday before a 5-person panel, as it's a meeting Tuesday to answer questions about unsafe training conditions at his Las Vegas gym. So as you guys know, there was a scene on the first episode of All Access, which aired in the build-up to this fight, where there was footage aired of the amateur boxer Sharif Rahman, of course the son of the champion Hasim Rahman. And then you know what happened, where his brother wanted to get some get back, and he got in the ring with the guy from Europe, and there was that long 31-minute round. So Mayweather's going to have to answer questions for that. So, just
Can I say something real quick? I'm not going to say in a real boxing gym, but in a respectful boxing gym, you would never see a young kid like that be allowed to go in with someone that was that advanced. That in itself is really, really a sketchy thing to do. It's not really an appropriate thing to do to a young kid like that. And just by the way he was laughing at it and he was making it a joke about it, seeing that young kid beat up, I was kind of cringing when I was watching that. I think that was kind of messed up myself. And, again, this just goes deeper into the character of this man. Whether he be the greatest boxer on the planet, him as a person leaves a lot to be desired, or at least a lot to be questioned. Think about it. If you had a son 18 years old and you saw someone put him in there with the kid, a man that's 25, 30 years old, or wasn't that kid even 17? I don't even think he was 18. But nevertheless, if that was my son or if that was your son, I'm sure I would be pissed and you would be pissed. And I'm sure if that was his son, he would be pissed. So this just adds to a lot of the negativity on this guy's character, in my opinion.
Well, to be fair, the kid could have declined.
Yeah, but you got to save the kid from himself. What does a young kid know? The young kids do stupid shit all the time. I'm sorry, Nestor.
Couldn't have declined because the kid was the one that initiated it. He said, "You got to get to me first before you get to Ishe." He jumped out the fucking window, not anyone else. He jumped out the window trying to be brave in front of Mayweather. But I want to just end this. Hold on, Elder, because I got to keep it moving. I want to just end this on, he's also going to be questioned for the marijuana scene. There are a few commissioners that were also concerned with that scene on All Access, but there are some that think it's not even a problem, that it's a minor issue compared to the sparring situation.
But if you were Showtime, wouldn't you advise, or wouldn't you edit that out? Like, if you were in charge of Showtime, why would you put something like that on the air? I mean, I know you want it to be real and this and that, but it's a bad look. It's a bad look.
I had to say, I understand the value of TV and drama, so the marijuana part was not a major concern for me. But of the other commissioners, my priority is the health and safety of the fighters. So moving on.
So let me ask you this real quick before you move on. Would you condone us lighting up a spliff right now while we're doing the show on air? I mean, you wouldn't want that to happen, right?
I would tell you this. I wish that we lived in a world where
you could do it.
If you felt that that's what you wanted to do, Beeb, you could go ahead and light a doobie. I would be totally cool with that. But getting back into Mayweather being 37, being so focused, going back into that first scene where he's watching a fight, and he showed us this before. There's always a party after the fight. They always go watch the fight after the fight. But again, certain things that he said, the way that he respected that he was hurt and he let us know that, the way that you could see that he was watching that fight, not looking for greatness, but looking for his flaws and how to correct them. So now enters his opponent.
It's been a year of great change for Marcos Maidana. Not just how the world sees him, but how he sees himself. A headliner in Vegas.
Very good. I like it.
And this is where I think Maidana failed us, because I know that one of our first callers said he had it like 8-4 or something like that. I don't know if he really said he had it for Maidana, but the point is that if you thought you were going to get the same Maidana the way that I did, we didn't. He got caught up in the limelight, and he didn't fight in his normal manner, and there's evidence of that. Not only did he get caught up in the limelight, but he was defeated during the fight. Now remember that our last show, we said let's not pass judgment on Garcia because we weren't privy. I told you guys that they were specifically holding it for the epilogue, and by golly, I was fucking right. And here goes all this footage and all this audio that we didn't get to hear and see before. And we see that we had a defeated Maidana early on. He felt himself outclassed. Again, you guys got to get yourself some Spanish friends, because this is a lot of fucking work. That's why I put the audio out there. So now the translation, I'm going to try and listen and give you my translation. Nelto's on as well. But the point is, believe me when I tell you, he felt a little defeated. Beeb, what did you think about that scene where Maidana was, putting on that shiny leather? What was that thing? Leopard or I don't
leopard? Some type of leopard or something like that, or a cheetah.
Yeah, and I just felt that was a scene where you were being shown that he came into his own. Like, he understood that he is a star now.
He went Hollywood, brother.
Exactly. And again, I don't know, what did you take from that scene, being as though that you had to use captions? But, I mean, what did you think? Did you get the same overall impression?
I think he was enjoying his change in status, basically. Mayweather said it perfectly. I made this guy a star. And whether or not he's a star, that remains to be seen. But at least he was a star for a couple months. No doubt about that. Or at least he was a bigger star than he was before. So I think he soaked all that up. Whether or not that played an impact on how he approached the fight, did it make him less hungry? I don't think so. I think, before the fight, when we had the preview show, a lot of people made some statements about how they thought that he was going to be turned into a boxer for this fight and less of a brawler, less of a physical presence type fighter in this fight. And I don't agree 100% with that, but I agree somewhat with that. I think that did play a little bit of a factor in this fight, where he didn't throw all caution into the wind as much, and he tried to be a little bit more cerebral. I think the older Garcia had an influence on him, because the older Garcia does preach boxing, work behind the jab, and that's all well and good, but Maidana does like to get in there and kind of rough things up a little bit, and maybe he didn't throw those wild overhand rights as much as he did the first fight, and maybe he needed to do that, because those were the type of unorthodox punches that were throwing Mayweather off. So there's just a lot of moving parts to this, but I don't think that he took this fight lightly. I just think that maybe the game plan could have been a little off.
Nelta, I want to throw you a quick question before we jump into our next soundbite. Would you pay for Guerrero versus Maidana on pay-per-view at $45?
I mean, I imagine the undercard would be pretty good, but yeah, probably.
So does that mean that you think?
I mean, the way I'm thinking about it is, I imagine they probably stacked that under, kind of the way they did. Remember when they did that? What was that shit called? Like Knockout Kings? Like that?
Knockout Kings.
Yeah, that was a good pay-per-view, man. Even though there wasn't like a straight up headliner, it was pretty much a full card of good fight, good like headliner type fight.
I think you should.
The reason that I asked you guys that question is only to say, is he that famous, and can he continue that status?
I think you should rephrase the question. It's not would we pay for it, because we would pay for it. We're junkies. Would you mind paying for it? Is the proper way to word that.
Would you mind paying for it, Nelta?
Well, I think I kind of would mind to a certain degree, because I'm not really that big of a fan of Guerrero, and Guerrero hasn't exactly electrified me.
You know why I picked Guerrero? I picked Guerrero because it would be two moving forces colliding. So I figured, let me sell you action guaranteed. That's guaranteed.
Let me ask both of you guys a question, because let's go back to Guerrero when the Guerrero that fought Michael Katsidis, the guy that actually used some boxing skills. Somewhere that got lost in the translation as he started making his ascension in weight. Now he wants to be an Arturo Gatti, it seems, and a lot of the things that he used to do are gone. I think he's really hell bent on becoming an action fighter more so than the fighter that he once was. And I think that's a double-edged sword, because he could make some quick bucks doing that, but also he could lose brain cells in the process, number one, and number two, he could take years off his career, and that window becomes smaller now. So when I saw him in his last fight, I wasn't impressed with that. You know why? Because I know he could fight better than that. I know he could fight differently than that. But he wants to turn into that blood and guts warrior for the fans, and I don't think that's necessarily a great idea, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the Kamagai fight is, I mean, I thought Kamagai was whooping him early on when he tried to go heads up with him. It was only after Guerrero started boxing him a little bit that he was able to start pulling ahead on points to finish that out.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if he goes heads up with Maidana like that, I think he's getting knocked out, man.
Done deal.
But he's open for a big right hand. And Maidana's right hand is like a fucking sledgehammer.
Yeah, but knocked out, you never even seen... Has Guerrero gone down?
Yeah. He was knocked down by Casamayor.
Okay, one knockdown a bunch of years ago when he wasn't weighing what he's weighing. And the reason that he doesn't box, well, part of the reason, because I am totally in agreement with the both of you, but part of the reason I think that he doesn't box the way that he used to is because he moved up in weight and he's a lot heavier. And it takes a lot from him to stay on those legs. You know, he gets a little tired there. But let me get back into this. Let me reel it back in now to fall back. Let me reel it back in. I wanna continue with this all access. Then we can move on because we do got some news and notes that we need to hit. So again, we had the Maidana basically coming into his own, and this was also like a soundbite I probably should have played at the same time, but whatever.
The first time out, me and Maidana gave the people excitement. That's what they want to see. I'm a true champion, and a true champion never backs down. So I said, let's make it happen again.
How are you, my friend? If controversy is the coin of the realm, then interviewing Floyd is a jackpot.
How do you keep your focus despite everything that goes on outside of the ring?
Good stories, bad stories. Just write about me. Find something to talk about. Write about me. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. You know, when it's all said and done, only God can judge me.
Is there any part of you that looks forward to not having so much attention?
Sometimes you ask for certain things, you don't always want what you ask for. It's the life I chose, so I have to deal with it. I'm ready to fight. What else can I say? I'm finished doing these interviews. I'm not going to fight with me. I'm going home. Watch some football.
Actually, I was right in playing it after because, again, this shows the difference. Remember, there was that all-access episode where Maidana was really excited about the media and the reaction that he got from the fans. And here is Mayweather, still focused, cutting interviews, not wanting to do more and just going home. And then the next scene that you see, of course, is, him relaxing and getting massages and taking care of what makes him money, his body. Again, the focus. I mean, I know that they showed us more footage of Maidana hitting the bag and in the gym, but these are key things that we need to look at when we, assess Mayweather, because I remember Beeb last episode was saying something like he didn't feel like he wanted to, actually he didn't want to see the cars, or a caller said it, I'm not sure, but that they didn't want to see the cars and they didn't want to see the girls. They wanted to see, him hitting the bag, him doing certain things in the gym. So we don't get to see that, but if maybe if you look a little harder, you at least know that it's happening. 414, you're live. Who's this?
Hey, Ness, it's Scotty from Milwaukee. How's it going?
Scotty, what's up, brother? Talk to me.
I got a question for you. What do you think of Mayweather even entertaining Ariza after basically accusing him of helping Manny Pacquiao with PEDs and stuff? That's kind of ironic, don't you think? And to your other point, that really doesn't help his image outside of his talent when he does stuff like that. I think that also hurts him.
Well, Scotty, I'm going to get and answer that and tell you this, that I answered your call, I guess, perfect timing, because the last clip showed you that he doesn't care. He said, write whatever you want about me. He just doesn't care. He said, just write something. So to him, all publicity is good publicity. And there's a lot of people that look at it that way. And I think that the Ariza thing, to answer your other question, is exactly that. It's just publicity. And maybe they can get something out of it, but at the same time, it's serving its purpose. We're talking about it. He's keeping himself relevant is what he's doing. Beeb, what do you think? All right. Well, Beeb is clearly having a war in the chat there. So we're gonna get into the next scene, and then we'll get into. Actually, let's get into another caller really quick.
I agree with that. I agree with that, Ness. I do agree with that.
760, you're live. Who's this?
Hey, Keith from Inglewood. What up, my nigga?
What's going on, brother?
Yo, first off, before I talk about all that shit, this shit on that Thurman interview, dog. That nigga, I fuck with Thurman. When he came to Cali to see that Porter Brooks fight, I started fucking with him. You know what I'm saying? He was talking to me and the homies for a little bit, and I seen this girl, and you could tell that nigga fucking he ain't changed. He kept it with the hood girl from day one and shit. So when I heard that interview, I was like, that was good shit. You know what I'm saying? You find out a lot about that nigga. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot that I asked about his girl too.
Yeah. But when he was over here in Cali, you could tell. You know what I'm saying? She's one of the ones that hold it down from day one. So I fuck with him because of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. He definitely proved that.
Yeah, but with this all access shit, it was an okay episode. I think the scene that stuck out to me was one when the nigga he was like, yo, that fucking shot hurt, and I was like, yo, he keeping it real right there. And then that scene you played just a little minute ago where he's like, yeah, I'm trying to prove something to myself. I think that nigga did have a little bit of doubt after the first fight because everybody's saying how he looking old, how Maidana was putting it on him. I think like you said, that nigga Nate Jones, he was in the shit like, yo, get off the ropes. I think everybody's kind of feeling like, yo, is he getting old? That's why he got Ariza, because I think that nigga like, yo, I'm trying to be on point for these last two fights or whatever. I don't give a fuck what people think. I'm trying to be at my best, you feel me?
That's an excellent point. Listen, I'm going to get to Beeb on that. Damn, that is an excellent point. It took him a lot of fuck yous and niggas, but he got to it. And Beeb, that makes perfect sense. Like, take the hate that you're going to get or the questions like Scotty had, like, oh, doesn't that make him look like a hypocrite? Take that, but get the best version of you and reassure yourself that you're going to take that punch that you took versus Maidana a lot better. What does that say about his character then, Beeb? You that always feel he has a weak character?
I'd never said he had a weak character. I think he has an unsavory character. There's a difference there. We all have strengths and weaknesses, and we can exude confidence, but really be very unsure of ourselves on the inside. And he exudes confidence, but right now he's showing his human side that he realizes he's 37 years old. He realizes when he watches himself that he's not the same guy he was when he was 27 years old. So that's only just, showing a little humility. So yeah, I can give him credit for that. But he's very hypocritical in a lot of things he does. He's constantly hypocritical in a lot of things he does. And yeah, you know what? I don't mind him going to Ariza now. I don't mind. I mean, obviously, Ariza was with Pacquiao, so of course there's going to be bad blood at that point in time. Well, now Ariza's not with Pacquiao, so he's a hired gun now. He could go wherever he wants, and that's great. But I think Mayweather is just finally accepting the reality of what's going on in his life right now in terms of his boxing career, and he's alluded to this many times. He's even said, at my age, I have a right to pick and choose who I want to fight. And he's also said, hey, you know what? If cherry picking has made me the richest athlete in the world, then I'm going to continue to cherry pick. I must be doing something right. So, again, his character is always going to be called into question just by the way he carries himself, and the things that he says, and just his whole image and his personality. But again, he has one of the best work ethics I've ever seen in my life. He has one of the best work ethics I've ever seen in my life. And on that boxing side of things, I don't think you can question him. And you know what? People want to say he ducked a lot of fighters. The only fight that I think he needs to fight right now that bothers me is the Pacquiao fight. I mean, that's the only fight that, to me, it doesn't make sense, and it seems like he's ducking it right now because he doesn't want to fight this guy.
Let me bring you back because I don't think you even answered my question. Does it show some sort of character change?
No, I think it shows humility. I think it shows humility, but I still think he's still going to be that brash, arrogant person. So to answer your question, no, it doesn't. I thought that I kind of alluded to that, and I apologize if I didn't clarify my point. But I don't think he's not going to be any less arrogant. I don't think that he's not going to be any less brash. I just think from a boxing standpoint, he realizes that he's not the same fighter anymore. So he's just being a realist, but he's still going to act the way he acts. He's not going to change that. I think you're confusing the two, with all due respect.
Hey, there he is. Okay, you're gonna have more money than I've got after this fight. How you doing? Never better. Never better. You want a little advice or take care of this guy? You're pretty relaxed about this. You look pretty relaxed about this.
Oh man, you can't worry about it. It's life.
Yeah, no,
it's gonna be. It's gonna be.
Was he relaxed in that moment? Because remember, he made the point to show us that he was around Warren Buffett and this and that. But at this moment, you were shown that he didn't pay attention to Warren Buffett whatsoever. He was more focused on whatever he was thinking of or watching, because we didn't get to see if he was watching the television. But by the way he was laid up, maybe he was watching a fight, maybe he was thinking. Beeb, what did you think? What went through your mind in this particular scene? Because, again, this one made me feel like we had a guy that is taking his job seriously.
Yeah, but to me it seemed kind of awkward because these guys are so different, but yet they're together in a room talking to each other and trying to relate to each other when they have absolutely nothing in common, really. I mean, obviously, both of them are wealthy, but Mayweather is nowhere near as wealthy as Buffett. So to Buffett, Mayweather is just a regular guy. But it just seemed like, there was just a sense of awkwardness to me in that moment, where Mayweather was kind of like try to give the impression that he was overly relaxed. He was like giving. I don't think he was as relaxed as he was trying to, relay to Buffett or relay to the crowd or the people watching. It seemed like it was kind of like staged a little bit, in my opinion. And that's the whole thing with this All Access. It seems like most of it is staged, like he's trying too hard to impress you. Like it's like anything else. Like when you're a kid and you buy something new. Like you buy a new watch, so you walk around with your new watch and you talk to people. Hey man, how's it going? How you doing? You make it a point to talk with your hands so they can see your watch. That reminds me of Mayweather. He's like that little kid that just got a new toy and he keeps sticking it in your face to trying to impress you with it. And that's just like how I kind of describe Mayweather. That's what I take away when I watch Mayweather, that it's just a person that's trying to portray an image to you, but I don't really know who that person is deep down inside. I've never seen the real Mayweather, and I'm not even so quite sure if I'm ever going to see the real Mayweather when the cameras are on.
That's so interesting. I'm going to take a call, but I find it interesting that you thought he was staging and that
he was trying too hard to be kind of cool in the gang to me.
Yeah, but him being focused couldn't be that. Like you couldn't take that out of that scene. Him being
I mean, to him, I don't think there's a lot of pressure on him when it comes to boxing. I think it's second nature. As he said, he's been through it so many times before. But I just think I just think that it was kind of an awkward moment, him sitting in a locker room with Warren Buffett, an 80-year-old man.
And I can see the awkward moment thing, but I mean, the man's a perfectionist, so I think that he absolutely thinks about this a lot. But let me get to some callers. Aerodynamic, what's up? Who's this? Your screen name on Skype is Aerodynamic, my friend.
Yo, what's up, man? It's me. What up?
What up?
Yeah. Yo, it's Alex, man. I'm the Cuban guy from Canada. Called him a few times before.
What's going on, Alex?
Yo, man, I just wanted to talk about the Salido fight yesterday, man.
Okay.
Yeah, that was man. I'm happy for Salido, man. That was a sweet fight, man. I love that guy. That was the first guy I ever put money down on in boxing. When he was fighting Juan Manuel Lopez, I had just turned 18 back then, and I put money on him. Oh man, I can't believe I won. I'm super happy for him, man. I like that guy.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah,
I mean,
but anyways, I wanted to touch up on. I've been talking to you on Twitter. I don't know if you saw the link, but about the Rigondeaux situation now.
Yes, I did. You sent me the Gary Hyde quotes.
Yeah, I sent you that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, man. I mean, well, we did know because we said it on the show a couple of weeks ago that an offer was presented by Rock Nation to Rigondeaux, but I guess that was that offer because of 3.9. Jesus. But you know that it's not Rigo's fault. It's the whole Caribe Promotions thing, man. You know that's what's going on.
Yeah, but I don't understand that at all. Like, why? What kind of options do they have?
They don't answer questions. I've emailed them. I've called them. I spoke. It's so ironic. Let me tell you something. It's ironic that the guy that works for Caribe's name is Alex as well. So I guess it's a Cuban thing. But listen, let me get to some other callers. Thank you for calling in. And I hope that I answered your question. But yeah, man, I've been calling, believe me, I've been calling Caribe Promotions. And like I said, Alex is giving me the runaround. I'm going to get to one more call and then another scene. 724. Who's this? 724.
Yeah, I want to kind of get your opinion on something. And it's kind of a little bit directed more towards B. So I feel like you guys are talking about Mayweather's character, like based on All Access. And B kind of contradicted himself because he said that he felt like Mayweather's kind of putting on an act, like on All Access, but then he says his character's a little bit suspect. I agree with the first part about Mayweather oftentimes putting on an act. I mean, he says it himself. He wants to be the bad guy. He wants to take that pressure on himself. So then when I turn on All Access and I see Mayweather kind of doing a lot of flamboyant stuff. Sitting by the chick smoking weed. To me, that's the act he's putting on. That's I'm the bad guy. So I'm not. It's kind of weird. Like I don't feel like I know Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather Jr. the person. I feel like I know Money Mayweather the bad guy. So I mean, I don't kind of get when people say based on All Access that Mayweather is this, Mayweather is that. I think the only thing you can kind of point to, kind of negative on his character, is the domestic violence stuff, right?
Well, that's mainly what I'm kind of basing it off of, to be perfectly clear with that and to clarify my statements. When I say he's putting on an act, I'm going to say something that may sound crazy to you and may sound crazy to a lot of people. I think there's a lot more going on inside that man's head than he leads on, than he lets you believe. I don't think he's as happy as he says he is. So I think when he's I think that's part of the act. I don't think he's as secure as he tries to portray to you. I think there's a lot of things going on. I think there's a lot of insecurities. I think there's a lot of problems going on in this guy's head, and I think he tries to. I think that because he's had such problems growing up, he didn't have that father figure there. His mother had issues. Right. Growing up that way, I think he's psychologically damaged in some way, and now he's trying to relive his childhood, in my opinion. And again, I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just giving you my opinion. So, when you look at all these domestic violence suits, and you look at how he's always changing his friends, and you look at how he's always changing his inner circle, there's a lot of trust issues with this guy. because he's used to people going away on him. He never had, his father left him at a very young age, so he has that he has that trust issue with people because of that. So when he sits there and tells you, "Oh, my life is great, my life is this," I don't think it is. Michael Jackson had all the money in the world, and look what happened to him. May he rest in peace. I don't think money. I think money does help a lot, but if you have issues, you have demons, you can't wash that stuff away with the money. It's not going to wash that stuff away.
I think he's psychoanalyzing it too much. It's like I don't know if you watch X-Men, but it's like you trying to psychoanalyze Magneto because, like, oh, I hate him because he's always trying to kill the X-Men. Like, it's not a real.
To be honest with you, that's what I do, my friend. I was that little kid that if you gave me a toy, let me finish. I was that little kid that if you gave me a toy as a child, I would always take it apart to see how it works. And I'm like that with people. Right. So you're correct. I do psychoanalyze people. I'm constantly sizing people up. Ask Ness. I'm always psychoanalyzing him, and he hates me for it, but it's the truth. You know, he's told me several times, "Who do you think you are, Dr. Habib?" So I mean, that's just me as an individual. But if you really listen to what I say, I'm sure you could take away some truth to it. No, I did make a few good points.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree on some of the stuff. It's some of the stuff he does. But I always go back to it, like, because he says it all the time, like, you know, I'm gonna give you guys a show. So other than like I said, the domestic violence stuff, like that's fact. Like, there's no arguing that. But pretty much everything else, it's a show to me. It's a movie. I'm watching a movie. So it's, to me, I don't get too deep into it. When it comes down to it, I just kind of focus on the boxing, and then I watch the show. I experience the show Mayweather puts on. I don't really. I mean, it's cool that you do it. You know, it's fine. You know, like you said, that's just your personality. But to me, when it comes down to it, you know, he's a great boxer that kind of, you know, he understands boxing in and out the ring better than, you know, pretty much anyone, which he used to his advantage. And he's, you know, that's kind of what it comes down to. I don't think we'll ever know that person. But again, that's, you know, you doing it, analyze him. That's cool. That's kind of what you do. I mean, that's pretty much what I have to say. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for calling in, brother. Gave Beef some good debate there. We're going to get into our next scene, which kind of goes hand in hand. See, this is why this is good.
It's going to be hard to find a fighter that can match me mentally, just to go through so many different trials and tribulations and go through so much bullshit and still stay at the top of his game. I'm knocking at the door. I'm almost 40 years old, but I'm still going strong. I only got an hour and a half left inside the boxing ring. Then my career's over. An hour and a half.
I want people to call in, and I want them to answer the question: a 37-year-old Mayweather versus a 37-year-old Leonard versus a 37-year-old Hearns versus a 37-year-old Duran. And because I asked that to my friend today, and he's the biggest Mayweather hater in the world, and he said Mayweather would beat those guys at 37 versus 37. I want people to call in and answer the question if they would feel obliged to.
Yeah, but they could also flip it, and why not say a prime fighter versus a prime?
Well, again though, because you know it has to speak something to this guy, him and Hopkins, not being in their prime and still being at the top of their game. Arguably, Hopkins is the best light heavyweight in the world, or at least one of them, and this guy is the best fighter on the planet. So he doesn't have to be in his prime. You know what I'm saying? So in terms of longevity, I don't think anyone's been on top as long as this man has. And you could say, oh, he's only fought once a year. These guys fought many more times, whatever. No, but there's been times when Leonard would fight once a year. There's been time, you know, Leonard took that 3-year layoff. You know, fighters took time off. Fighters in that Ali era started fighting once or twice a year too. So this is nothing new.
201 Sev, what up?
All right, man. I was like off for a minute,
so I missed for like the past 5 minutes of what's been going on. But I gotta make some important comments, man, because shit's getting out of hand. All right, now I've always wanted to say this and I kept forgetting because I always forget what I'm gonna say when I come on the show. But we as a society have to stop expecting our athletes, especially fighters, to be fucking role models. I mean, they're not role models. They're boxers. Okay, I expect a politician to be a role model for his or her community, but I don't expect an athlete to be a role model in any way, shape, or form, because that's not their purpose. An athlete is a fucking athlete, and their job is to be good at whatever the fuck they do. Okay? As a matter of fact, most boxers, I know a lot of boxers personally, and they all happen to be very good people for most of the time, but they're the furthest thing from fucking role models. Boxers are actually one of the most unproductive people you'll meet usually most of the time. These guys will train their asses off and then go to the club the same fucking night. Obviously, I'm not talking about every fighter, but this is usually the norm, okay? And athletes in general are the furthest things from role models. So please, if you have a kid, do not say, oh, try to be like this and this guy that plays this and this sport. No, tell them, oh, try to be like that guy who you know, is a college professor or some shit. You know what I mean? An athlete's a fucking athlete. Now, as far as Floyd Mayweather is concerned, I'm in hearing so much fucking ass kissing on this show. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I don't give a fuck about his longevity. I mean, fuck. Bernard Hopkins could have probably been fighting for 200 fucking years if he only fought once a year. And I know Beeb just talked about that, so ignore that I just said that. How about the fact that Floyd Mayweather, Roberto Duran was, how many fights did he have when he was 37? Can you answer that, Beeb? Because I'm not sure, but I know it's a hell of a lot more than whatever.
Oh, it was in the 80s. Yeah, he had a lot of fights.
So you're saying Roberto Duran had close to 80 fights or over 80 fights by the time he was 37, right?
Yeah, he had a lot of fights.
Okay, so I don't know why you're even talking about that, because you can't even compare that. Of course, Floyd is going to be able to beat the 37-year-old version of Duran, because the 37 version of Duran had over 80 fucking fights.
But you know what the problem? But listen to this. Listen to this, Sev. There's one thing that this guy does that these other guys don't. Him and Bernard Hopkins do one thing better than anyone else ever does. When you look at these other fighters, and I'm not trying to bash them, but Duran used to blow up to 200 pounds in between fights. Sugar Ray Leonard had a drug problem, okay? And he's my favorite fighter of all time. That's not to denigrate the man, okay? Hagler had some issues with substance abuse. A lot of these fighters had demons, okay? A lot of them went out and partied. None of these guys had this man's work ethic. This guy is 37 years old. He comes to every fight shredded. He comes to every fight in shape. He trains his ass off. You know, that's one thing he has over these guys, is he took care of himself. That's one thing Bernard Hopkins had over a lot of these fighters. He took care of himself. A lot of these fighters, once they started making money, they started getting caught up in the life. And whether or not you can say this guy is caught up in the life, he's not smoking those blunts. He's not drinking the Hennessy, okay? He's not doing all those things that these guys did. He's not blowing up to 200 pounds. So you could say what you want about how many fights Duran had. But again, he also punished his body by ballooning up to 200 pounds and then having to take it all off to get down to 147. How healthy is that? Now Mayweather has every excuse in the book to do that because he has way more money than these guys ever dreamed of, but he doesn't do those things. He could easily take things lightly because he's so secure financially, but he doesn't. He still fights and trains like he's starving, and that's the truth. I mean, I don't like the guy's character. I don't think he's a good role model. I question whether or not he's a good person, but I respect the hell out of this guy. I cannot say I don't respect this guy when it comes to his job. He is one of the hardest workers I've ever seen in my life, and I can't take that away from him. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing that he'll go down in history with me as is being one of the hottest workers, in any field that I've seen. To me, I'm just so impressed with that. I'm so impressed with him and Bernard Hopkins when it comes to work ethic and discipline.
Yes, Beeb. Yes, Beeb. I agree with everything you just said, and I'm really glad you went on this rant because he truly is I think the hardest working athlete that I've personally seen in any sport. I'm just saying, don't make a comparison to a 37-year-old Floyd should be the 37-year-old Duran because 37-year-old Duran had over 80 fucking fights. So even if he was taking care of his body, which he was not, obviously, he should still end up losing to Mayweather because at the end he does have more than double the fights at that same age, and those fights take a toll on your body, especially when you're in your late 30s.
All right, so what about Leonard, though? But what about Leonard? Leonard didn't have 80-something fights when he was 37 years old. Leonard doesn't have more fights than Mayweather has more fights than Leonard right now.
I'm not talking about Sugar Ray Leonard. I'm not talking.
I'm talking about the greats. I'm talking about the greats. All right.
No, but you're right. No, okay, you're right. You make a valid point. I respect that.
Leonard's my favorite fighter, mind you.
Huh?
Leonard's my favorite fighter of all time too.
All right. I gotta switch up topics, Seb. I'm sorry, brother. You're gonna.
Let him just finish what he was gonna say. Let him give him 10 more seconds.
The chat wants us to switch.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, go.
Go ahead.
You got 10 more seconds. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just want to make a quick comment on the Kirkland versus Rosado fight. I think if Kirkland gets out of that first round, if Kirkland gets out of that first round, he's gonna beat Rosado. Rosado has a chance to win, but he has to do it in the first round. If he gets Kirkland past that, then it's gonna be a bad night for Rosado.
Hey, Seb, let me ask you one last question before you go. You're a big James Kirkland fan, aren't you?
Yeah.
I can tell when you talk about James Kirkland, there's a passion. I can feel the passion in your voice. You like that guy as a fighter.
Yeah, that guy's a fucking G. I love Kirkland.
Okay, I got you.
All right, guys. Wrap it up with your kisses over here, brother. So, what do we got? We just did the career overseen, which I'm going to play again because Beeb didn't even talk about it. And there's some things in here that I want mentioned.
It's going to be hard to find a fighter that can match me mentally just to go through so many different trials and tribulations and go through so much bullshit and still stay at the top of his game. I'm knocking at the door. I'm almost 40 years old, but I'm still going strong. I only got an hour and a half left inside the boxing ring. Then my career's over. An hour and a half.
Now, what I ask you, Beeb, is this a indirect shot back at Lampley and HBO? Because Lampley and HBO made it clear that, the possibility of Floyd retiring after his Showtime contract is out there, but Lampley took a strong stance that Floyd will fight his 50th fight and will try and negotiate an even higher amount of money that he's been receiving by having both networks fight over it. So what did you think when hearing this?
Can I tell you what I take away from this? And Mayweather said this out of his own mouth. He likes to keep us guessing. He likes to make us believe one thing and then do another. Because a lot of people are saying, even Ariza was saying that he believes Mayweather will fight 2 more years after his contract is over. I can't even begin with to think about this. I don't know if I suspect that he'll fight maybe at least 2 more times after that contract is up. So we just may get another year or 2 out of him after this contract is up. Whether or not it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be a long-term deal, mind you. But I think we will probably get 2 more fights, possibly 3 more fights after this deal is over. I don't think he's going to retire. I just think this is a smokescreen that he wants you, kind of make you think, hey, you better get me now because I'll be gone soon. In other words, you better enjoy me now because I'm going to be gone soon. That was more or less what I think he was trying to do there. It's basically a selling point, trying to upsell himself, in my opinion.
All right, let's take a few calls here. 352, you're live. Who's this?
Yo, what's going on? This is Ray, Boston. I've been listening to y'all.
Boston!
Yeah, y'all the shit.
So wait a minute. Is
Yo,
you
what's
a
going
first-time
on?
caller?
What up?
First-time caller?
First time caller.
All right,
Boston.
Well, thing that we do for our first-time caller. Let's see if you're good enough to fill in the blank here.
Ladies and gentlemen, making his professional debut.
Chime in now. You got to jump in with you got to jump in with who you are now.
Robbie.
No, you got to jump in with your
You got to jump in. You got to be like, hey, this is
Papa all day, every day on the streets and home, on the air. Ray Papa.
Yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Hey, yo, what's going on? I wanted to talk about this Mayweather situation, right? And I'm just hearing a whole bunch of shit that I just got to address. Actually, I heard you say something about a half hour ago about Mayweather looks at his fights and in order to tweak things. And I'm thinking, what is it? He got 2 fights left on the Showtime contract?
Correct.
I think he's looking at to try to tweak things in his career, too. And the only reason I say that, because it seemed like Mayweather Promotions as a whole, in my opinion, got a weak stable. And a lot of his fights since he's been on Showtime been co-promoted with Golden Boy. There's been a whole bunch of shit going on with them, with Richard Schaefer leaving, who he been giving high praise to, with him out the picture, and Golden Boy. It seems like they're working on things with Top Rank and Bob Arum, who Mayweather and Heyman said they wouldn't work with. I'm thinking maybe he's rethinking everything himself, as far as like Ellaby's probably out the door and just the whole changing of the guard. And I think it's a combination of like maybe he's trying to maximize his profits and like solidify his spot, like as far as like his boxing career. I just look at it like this. HBO's in what, like 8 million homes. So I'm thinking maybe at the end of this contract, without the it don't seem like Heyman have too much say so now with De La Hoya doing this thing with Bob Arum. I'm thinking maybe at the end of the contract he's gonna jump back to HBO and maybe that Pac-Man fight do happen.
Yeah, well, the networks have already discussed that they're willing to co-promote it the way that they did Lennox and Tyson back in the day. But yeah, man, there's some good points. Definitely a theory that I would run with. But I'm going to get to some other callers. And again, thank you for calling in. First-time caller from Boston, Ray Papa, coming in all the way from your neck of the woods, Beeb. Yes, Beeb, making a presence in his hometown. 313, live on the Boxer Voice. Who's this?
What's up, Ness? This is Hassan from Detroit.
Hassan, what's up? What's up, brother? One of my favorite callers, Hassan.
The PR director for Gennady Golovkin.
No, unfortunately, I got nothing to say about him right now. At least until like the.
I mean, you know why, right? You know why? Because you tweeted mouthpiece enough. Yo, that mouthpiece is floating all over the internet because of Hassan.
He's on the clock and he got nothing to say.
That's it.
All right, so I'm gonna place you on hold if you ain't got none.
No, wait. I just wanted to talk about what you guys have been speaking about today.
Okay.
For one, yeah, I do believe All Access is maybe 90%, at least on Mayweather's side stage, because one thing during that whole scene where the girls were smoking, marijuana, and he was looking at the rappers and saying, "Oh, what's this? What are you guys using? What is this right here?" And it was a Swisher, of course. And me personally, I've never smoked a day of my life, either cigarettes or anything else. But I know what a Swisher is, so he was bugging out right there. Secondly,
I don't know. With a name like Wasan, you might be getting high.
It says begin to, and then I go to do.
Never mind, guys. You can take the next caller.
All right. Wasan always getting called away by his mom. 850, you're live. Who's this? 850. No problem. 647.
What up, Ness? It's T from Toronto, man. How y'all living?
We doing good, brother. What up?
Not much, man. I found something kind of interesting. Well, not so much interesting, but on the website that you guys got put up, you got Alex Ariza saying that he confirmed a 2-year contract. Is that correct?
Beeb, you wrote the article.
Yeah, well, he confirmed a 2-year contract, but I dug deeper into it, and I read an article on Fight Hype where he was actually being interviewed by Ben Thompson, and that 2-year contract, as I said earlier in the show, is a no compete clause contract. So if he does end up working with Mayweather, then he will have to work with Mayweather for 2 years exclusively. He can't work with anybody else. So he did sign a contract, but it's a no compete clause contract, is what it is. So it's nothing's official that he's going to actually be working with Mayweather, but all indications suggest that he may be.
Right. I just found that interesting because Mayweather says that he's only got 2 fights left, and if he's fighting twice a year, then what would be the point of signing Ariza for 2 years unless he was going to fight some more? So that kind of goes to your point that I don't think he's going to be done after the next 2 fights. I think he's going to go for that 50.
Did you
50 to try to get the record?
Did you read the article? Because in the article it said that Ariza believes that he will fight 2 more years after his contract with Showtime is up. That's what Ariza said, and that was his opinion.
Right, but
so
that's his opinion, and that's speculation by him. He's only been there for so long. I don't know.
Yeah, but
how long Mayweather's gonna fight, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are speculating.
You guys are doing a great job. The next thing about Mayweather being, I guess, an actor or whatever, in that scene where he was with Warren Buffett, when you prepare yourself and you have a foundation as an athlete, you have supreme confidence because you feel like you've done all the groundwork. I really think the nigga was just in there chilling like, I put in the work, I grind, I'm made for this, I'm going to go out here and win. I don't think he was just trying to be cute for the camera because that's way too close to the fight to be trying to act. I agree with Ness. I think he was just focused.
Boom. T, let me get to some other callers in another scene. Beeb, I want to get into this next scene here. Oh, this one, man. Yo, try and take yourself back to this moment. This is a good one, man. Again, credit to the production team. And it's not like I'm purposely going out seeking what they do good, but when they do something good in their episodes, I want to bring it to light. And the way that they built the anticipation with this score and the little things that were going on in this scene was awesome. It really put me in the moment. Again, mind you, since we already seen the fight.
Aquí lo he hecho primero y después lo limpié, ¿eh? Acuérdese, inteligente. Bien, ¿no? ¿Se siente bien? Va a caer el cabrón. The words my father always used with me, he used to say, be smart before you're brave. meaning to make mistakes, trying to get wild just because you want to be brave and show the world something.
Come on, champ. Best ever did.
Me agarra una adrenalina que es inexplicable. Es una cosa que solo uno lo vive. Subir al ring a pelear, eso te da ánimo. Ganándole a Mayweather cambiaría la historia del boxeo. Nadie lo ha derrotado y bueno, sería yo.
When I go into people can boo me or they can cheer for me. It doesn't matter what they do. I fight for me first.
This is Floyd Mayweather's 24th world title fight, so we are set for the rematch. Mayhem has arrived.
I want to caution you right now to keep this fight clean at all times, protect yourself at all times, and what I say you must obey. Good luck, Brother Suarte. Touch him up.
Beep. Tell me that didn't take you back right there, man. I mean, that didn't you hear that score, the way that it built up, the anticipation, and they did a really good job of making this fight look so much more entertaining in the recap of it within this episode than the actual fight, because there is a point where they're going to touch on the holding, but it was just like, oh my God, so short that you really forget about it and you see the beauty that is when you're watching Mayweather. But there were certain things in here, like in the beginning, you heard Robert Garcia say something like, oh, my father, he taught me not to go out there and fight with pride and be smart. And again, it's what I'm telling you, that whole game plan, that believing that they were going to be able to knock him out, I think that's what ruined it for them. They changed. And the caller said that before, and I wasn't on board. I remember even you said it, and I said, no, how could working on things and doing them correctly ruin him? Well, it necessarily doesn't, but whatever they allowed him to do is what fucked it up, because I think that him being able to turn over his shots and shoot a jab better is always going to be a good thing, but not that level of intensity that he had. That was not what he needed. But again, a lot of things were said in this particular clip. Another one that I want to point out so that you could give me all your points at once, Bayless, and the way that, he took control of the situation in the beginning of that fight as if he were going to be fair. It's the only reason that I pointed out, because he made it seem like he was going to be the law, and he clearly was not. But what did you think?
I don't know. I think that this epilogue was a good production overall, and I think it kind of gave the impression that it wanted to take you back and bring you back into the moment, and I think it did do that, and I think they did a good job with that. But it's ironic that you hear Garcia say, oh, my father always told me not to be brave. So it just tells you right then and there that Papa Garcia had a major influence on this game plan, and it had a major influence in the corner on fight night. And whether that was a positive or negative, I hate to say this, but I think it was a negative, because I think they tried to calm him down too much. He needed to be kind of a little wild and a little reckless, because that was what gave him success in the first fight. So I think that revealed the game plan, and it kind of alluded to what a lot of people said beforehand during the preview show, that was the wrong move. And I didn't necessarily think that it was the wrong move, because I didn't think it would be done to this extent. But they really, really tried to make him too patient, too relaxed, where he needed to be more of a risk taker. He needed to gamble. He needed to be more freewheeling. And as I said, because that was what made him successful in the first fight. So I thought this was a very telling clip.
Now, there was another point in this fight, towards the end of this episode, rather, where Maidana says, oh, I'm happy. I don't have any. Look at my face. Like basically, he says, look at my face. I don't have any bruises, and I fought the best guy in the world, and I did pretty good. And I think that the whole entire camp are just telling him. I think that they told him, like, look, you're not gonna win this fight, so don't get hurt, because they're gonna be able to still use you. And they just added more life to his career, because I don't know, just some of the things that we're able to hear now coming out of that corner, the manner in which Maidana fight. I mean, did he really give it his all, or was he discouraged? Because again, there was points in that corner when he's like, man, this guy's outclassing me. Man, this guy's taking advantage of me. You know, I mean, he got beaten into thinking that he was not supposed to be in that ring with him. So I don't know if maybe they just said, hey, man, just ride it out, dude.
Was he saying anything to Robert Garcia that kind of indicated that he was deflated in that corner, that he was discouraged?
Well, absolutely. I just told you that his words were, he is taking advantage of me.
Oh, he did say that.
Yeah. Yeah, he absolutely said
So
that.
so when he thought he won at the end, that was an act. Then he really know that he
Well,
really.
Garcia's the one that and we're gonna hear that. Don't you worry, I'm telling you, we're gonna hear that. But I want to talk about this 8th round, and I know that a lot of guys kind of gave us some shit for not really, I guess, being subjective in this particular clip.
Round 8. Much different tenure than the first fight, guys.
Very much, and Floyd Mayweather has made it so.
Perfect, Floyd. We found him more shit. El árbitro se mete en el medio.
Mayweather has steadily built an edge here with his accurate punching. And right now, Maidana needs to make something kind of dramatic happen in this fight.
Oh, good shot by Maidana.
Mayweather claiming he bit him?
Go over there. Go over there. Where? I'm going to beat him. I got your hand. I don't see nothing. Get my hand right here. I understand I don't see nothing. You beat him? Fuck you. Fuck you guys. It's over. He said he bit my fingers. There's no way I can tell. He bit my fucking fingers, man.
Well, you can see something going on there, but it's very difficult to tell what happened.
No. What did he do? I don't know if he bit him, but I don't know.
You know what the funniest part of that scene was? When Garcia goes, "What do you mean he bit him? You didn't see him do it though, so you didn't see him. You didn't see him." That was hilarious. Can't hear you, Ness. You have to fix your microphone. I think Ness dropped off here. I didn't realize what's going on. Hold on. Trying to see what Ness left off here with this with these episodes here. Okay, that point was where the bite came. He's talking about the bite with Mayweather, and you know, at first I didn't think that Maidana really hurt Mayweather, but I don't think Mayweather was faking. Was really faking it, because when I look at it on the epilogue, and I heard his reaction and seen his reaction, immediately he shrieked in pain, and it was body language there. Whether or not that there was blood there, I couldn't see any blood. I couldn't see any broken skin. But I think something happened, and I think something that Maidana did. He possibly did bite him, but it had an effect on Mayweather. Whether it had that effect to the extent that he was trying to say it did, I don't know. I don't know if his hand actually went numb. I find that hard to believe that his hand went numb, but maybe it did hurt. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. Let me see if I can go in here and see if I could take some callers here. I apologize because kind of got caught off guard here. I'm going to have to log into Ness's blog talk here so I could take some calls. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Do you think that Mayweather deserved it? Do you think that he did put his hand over Maidana's mouth and did not allow Maidana to breathe? What do you guys think about that? I'll have to let me see if I can log back in and see if I can take calls. All right. Yeah, because I may have to call back into the show, hang up and call back into the show so I could take the calls from you guys. Okay, just give me a second here.